So are Elon Musk, Tesla, and Joe Rogan, along with them, crashing out? That's what we're going to get into today, along with many other things, because this is a longer format, this one to end the week, but more casual, I think. So there's the latest news first, and then we'll get back into what happened during the week. More commentary, more analysis. So you have a look at this headline here. The walls are closing in on Tesla. Is that the case? We'll look at that. Now, I'm going to maybe say a bit more about what's seen on screen because, I mean, when I listen to things in a long format, I do quite often just listen to audio in the background through YouTube Premium or Spotify Premium. I have both of those. All right, let's get into the news. Now, this was on Reddit, and this is from yesterday. So we'll go through the latest news first. This is a Reddit post talking about Elon. He pressured Reddit to tone down the rhetoric against him. Who do we pressure to have Musk tone down his rhetoric against us? This is not okay. So this is referring to a Fox News interview that he gave. It was the Doge team, some high-level members of the Doge team, who we haven't seen before. I think there was a lot of gaslighting going on there. And during that interview where it was just on Musk and the others were away, he gave quite a chilling threat here. And this Reddit post says, Musk makes fingers into pistol. We're coming after you. And there's a bit of a video clip as well. I'll show you that in a minute. But this just breaking news just before I recorded this breaking news on X here where Elon posted, XAI has acquired X, which if you were watching my videos this week, we might have heard Kara Swisher say from the Pivot podcast that she thought that Elon might do some deal, with Grok, with XAI to bolster the valuation of X because it does look like it was in trouble. That famous incident on stage where Elon said F you to advertisers, basically. Well, not basically, literally he said that, which is incredible. And so he looks like he's done a deal here. And it says, I'm going to go through this. I haven't even read all this. It's such fresh news. XAI has acquired X in an all-stock transaction. Can you believe that? Well, I can believe that. The combination values XAI at $80 billion. And of course, the AI valuations for AI companies are through the roof. So that's part of it. He can see some opportunity here. So 80 billion for XAI and X at 33 billion. So that's 45 billion less 12 billion debt. So the investment banks is it JP Morgan loaned Elon 12 billion. So this is, he does have debt. And so if you look at what's happening, I said Tesla might be crashing out. Valuation's gone down 50%. So this is definitely some deal to bolster the valuation here and maybe to save formerly Twitter X. Since its founding 2 years ago, XAI has rapidly become one of the leading AI labs in the world, building models and data centers at unprecedented speed and scale. X is the digital town square where more than 600 million active users. 600 million active users? Really? How many bots? And I question that 600 million number. Active users go to find the real-time source of ground truth, and in the last 2 years has been transformed into one of the most efficient companies in the world, positioning it to deliver scalable future growth. So typical press release here. Now, many know, and I would argue that it's gone way to the right there in the algorithm. Elon's at the top. He's got his massive megaphone there, and he promotes evangelicals, people that support him, and a lot of things critical of him get buried. And we'll get into that today because this free speech absolutist is anything but. In fact, he's going very rapidly in the other direction, and we'll see some of the latest things about that, as I said, coming after people critical and organizations critical of Tesla. And there's been those protests. We'll get into that. So he also says XAI and X's future are intertwined. Today, we officially take the step to combine the data, models, compute, destination, and talent. This combination will unlock immense potential by blending XAI's advanced AI capability and expertise with X's massive reach. The combined company will deliver smarter, more meaningful experiences to billions of people while staying true to our core mission of seeking truth and advancing knowledge. Yeah, right. Seeking truth, please, burying any criticism that might happen to be true as well. This will allow us to build a platform that doesn't just reflect the world, but actively accelerates human progress. Okay, there's Grok in there. Now, I've had thoughts lately about, how the algorithms promote certain things. You'll notice that different algorithms from different tech companies do kind of push people in different directions, or at least increase engagement by people arguing and that sort of thing. Now, I think that what AI is going to do, and you can see evidence of this, if you put the same question into different AIs, you get kind of different answers, and sometimes they're more, we say political, maybe ideology based, and Grok is definitely there too. So I think what's going to happen is these different big tech companies with different AIs are going to have, the AIs are going to sort of push people in certain directions like the algorithms do now, and maybe more in an intense way. I think that could happen, but that's by the by. As I said, this is a longer format, so I'm going to give opinions like that. I'm going to give commentary along the way. I would like to recognize the hardcore dedication of everyone at XAI and X that has brought us to this point. This is just the beginning. Thank you for your combined partnership and support. Thank you for saving X from disaster. They don't say that, but I'm saying that. Okay, let's get to this video of what Elon said here, this threat, and it was kind of chilling, keeping in mind he's the richest person in the world. He's with very buddy with Trump in the US government, so this is basically a government entity, really, or somebody aligned with the government that is becoming more authoritarian, going down that path. Just this week, which I haven't reported on, we had a PhD student almost pretty much taken from the streets by clothed people, masked. They said they were police, but think about if that happened to you and it was to do with Palestinian protests, but that is not for this. Let's see what Elon says here.
The people pushing the propaganda that caused that guy to do it, those are the real villains here, and we're going to go after them. And the president's made it clear we're going to go after them. The ones providing the money, the ones pushing the lies and propaganda, we're going after them.
Okay, so pretty chilling stuff there. Get what he's saying there. People providing the money. So he's talking about the protests, and he's talking about that particular guy. I think it was to do with vandalizing Teslas, setting them on fire, which, very few people are advocating that. I'm certainly not. Peaceful protest. It's still legal in the US and in liberal democracies. Peaceful protest. Nobody, the Tesla takedown protests are not advocating any kind of violence or destruction of property. It has been happening from some individuals, but Elon here casting a wider net, saying he's going to go after people. Well, you heard what he said, and that's kind of chilling. This is from the free speech absolutist guy, supposedly, but he's proving himself to be something other than that. And as I said, X is sort of going more right wing, and obviously he has been shutting out certain opinions and burying them in the algorithm. It seems pretty obvious what he's doing there. So that's pretty chilling stuff, and just seems blatantly authoritarian, to be honest. So we'll see what happens with that. But is he going to go after YouTube? He's going after Reddit. There's been this case of Reddit here. I put Reddit posts on here that I've seen there. So this headline, Elon Musk makes request to Reddit CEO to take down posts he didn't like. So the free speech absolutist guy, Musk public trade. I'm not editing this. I'm going to make mistakes. This is authentic. Let's just say it wasn't a mistake. That's just authentic. Musk's public tirade about Reddit also included private correspondence with Reddit to influence content decisions. Okay, so get what he's doing here. Is this free speech? Is this free speech absolutist stuff? Elon Musk ripped to shreds after saying Trump is an honest man with a straight face. So this was in that same interview. And, people are allowed to criticize Elon Musk and Tesla and whoever, right? It's a peaceful protest, free speech. Or does he actually not like that when push comes to shove? So this is futurism saying Tesla is really starting to feel the hurt. So this is back to that first headline where the walls are closing in from futurism. This is more detail on that. Let's go into this a little bit. Tesla is really starting to feel the hurt in large part due to Musk's self-inflicted wounds, despite a share price that's slowly recovering from a disastrous year. Well, that's not today and not in the last couple of sessions. And the whole market's down a little bit, and we'll have a look at the stock price and what's happened here. It's come down significantly. A disastrous year so far. The company has seen sales fall off a steep cliff in key markets, including Europe, China, and home turf in the US. And as I keep saying, it's going to be interesting. This first quarter results coming up in the beginning of April, I think. And I'll be covering that here. It's going to be super interesting to see what the finances, what the deliveries are like. And assuming that they're not fiddling with any numbers behind the scenes there. We saw the Canada, is it fraud? They're investigating that to do with the rebates. Something like Tesla was apparently sold every 10 seconds to get more rebates. As Forbes reports, the walls are only beginning to close in as Tesla competitors in China are starting to make significant moves, leapfrogging the company not only in terms of sales and revenue, but technology as well. So that's, assisted driving, shall we say, unsupervised or supervised full self-driving. BYD is getting in the game. Other companies are getting in the game there, as well as other technologies. Certainly, battery technology, BYD is ahead of Tesla there, and they started off as a battery company. They're selling a lot. And here we are. Earlier this week, news emerged that Chinese EV maker BYD had crushed Tesla by passing the $100 billion mark in revenue last year. That's in comparison to Tesla's $997 billion in revenue over the same period. BYD is also working on software directly competing with Tesla's misleadingly named full self-driving system. Well, full self-driving, supervised, and they've said they'll bring it out as supervised in Austin first, but how geofenced will that be? Will there be remote supervision of the driving like Waymo does? Called God's Eye. This is from BYD. The top-end version of the software will make use of laser and LiDAR sensors, which Tesla infamously ditched in favor of exclusive reliance on cameras. And the competition in China is only growing. Yes, intense competition in China, and it does remain to be seen how well Tesla's, can they go unsupervised with just camera solution? They say they can. Camera and AI, it has to be said. So we'll have to see what happens there. And then in other news today, as I said, I'm going to go through today's news. There's quite a lot of it today, and then I'll recap what's happened this week, give some more commentary, some updates of my thoughts on what's been going on there. If people have missed the videos I've been doing every day, or even if you haven't, I'll provide some new thoughts, some new stuff, some new analysis. Tesla is worth $130 per share due to weak fundamentals, strong competition, says HSBC. So that's a bank. So they're analysts, stock analysis have said it's only worth $130. So that's significantly down from where the stock is at the moment. And here we have a survey. This is from Electric again. 67% of Americans would not consider buying a Tesla, a new poll shows. And we've seen some polls about this. A new poll shows 67% of Americans would not consider buying or leasing a Tesla vehicle, with most of them citing Elon Musk as the reason why. He's incredibly unpopular, becoming so, and he does not like that. In fact, I don't think he believes it. He thinks it's propaganda probably paid propaganda by the Democrats or some, he puts out gaslighting like that, but I think he knows. So YouGov and Yahoo News have released a new survey. That's what this is from. It's 1,677 adults. It's not a massive survey. The one in Germany was bigger than that. And here we have another headline: Tesla Q1 delivery consensus, 377,000 EVs. If you don't know, relatively its worst performance in 2 years, which is not great. So at the end of every quarter, Tesla's investor relations compiles delivery expectations from the top analysts covering the company. Tesla released company compiled delivery consensus for this quarter, though. The automaker is expected to deliver 377,500 vehicles, which would be worst performance in more than 2 years. So we will have to see. And what is the stock price going to react to that? Now, Tesla is becoming a political pawn. This headline says UK considers removing it from EV incentives. So Tesla's not going well in Europe, with Elon. I've talked about this many times, of getting involved in the German elections, mouthing off on his massive megaphone about politics, trying to turn countries further to the right. And Europe did not like that, so it's not surprising that sales have been going down there, and he's incredibly unpopular in Europe. It seems pretty obvious. Now, this headline: Trump imposes tariffs on all car imports. Here's where all EVs available in the US come from. So if you want to go to that article on electric, it does show that. And yes, the imports, which is one of the reasons that the stock market went down today. Elon Musk, Tesla is not unscathed from tariff impact is significant, Elon says. He did say that, but you wonder, is he protected somewhat with Trump? Is there some way he can get around it? They can come up with some rule, who knows, and it could hurt his competitors. And he's obviously in with Doge, not just to save the country, save democracy, or whatever he said. He's definitely in it there for himself and his companies, obviously. And here is what happened in the stock market. This headline, this was before the end of the session, but stock market today, Nasdaq tank as inflation fears tariffs spark tech sell-off. So it's happening again. And Tesla down, I think it was down more than this. I think it was down 2.5% by the end of the session. This was before the end of the session. It's down 2.36%. And down year to date, down 30%. So not having a good year, but again, over that past year, it's still up 50%, which is huge. For that HSBC and other analysts have been downgrading it. It's still hit that election pump. You see that steep climb there. That was an election pump with Trump, but that's all sort of going to custard since he started getting into what he's actually doing with Doge, and people are seeing through it, and there's all these protests and everything, which he obviously does not like. Threatening people, talking about it on social media. Unbelievable. And so it's down 44.87% since mid-December. So it had that run up and then it's turned back. And this news today too, which is absolutely incredible, and it does relate to Elon. Get a load of this. Trump pardons Nikola EV founder Trevor Milton in securities fraud case. So now Elon knows he can cook those Tesla numbers however he wants without consequences. So if you're not following this story, Nikola, get it? Nikola Tesla. There was a person called Nikola Tesla. It was Tesla the company. So Nikola was kind of an imitator, but the fraud was involved. I mean, if you're following the EV sector, you might even remember, if you're not, that they basically pushed a truck downhill instead of having it go, and they faked it, and so that it was fraud. Everybody saw it. And this guy was convicted, Trevor Milton, but Trump has pardoned him. So if he, and I've seen people on X, the Tesla evangelicals, are shocked by this. They are shocked by this. Like, they can't believe this happened. Because they support Tesla, they did not support Nikola, calling it a fraud, calling him a fraudster, and they see him get pardoned. But a lot of them also support Trump. So what are they going to make of this? I think they'll write it off and say, oh, and probably just say, oh, that was an anomaly, and then think. And so if Elon gets in, does some dodgy stuff, if he has does some dodgy stuff, and this was basically a bribe, as this headline says, Nikola founder Trevor Milton pardoned after $1.8 million bribe to Trump. And so it's updated this article because Electric didn't quite believe it when the news came out. They were a bit skeptical, like, no, how could this happen? And that's kind of been the thing that can't be true, but it turns out that it is. So it said the article had been updated to include confirmations from media of the pardon and to acknowledge that the $1.8 million in payments Milton and his wife gave to pro-Trump PAC. And so, okay, so Elon's given over $250 million to Trump PAC. So this guy only gave $1.8 million, and he got a pardon for his actual fraud. So, interesting. What will come of that if Elon gets into trouble? They talked about lawfare coming after Elon, and now it seems like Jim Chanos has talked about the golden age of fraud. Is that what we are actually seeing here, where you can actually do fraud and then get away with it and get pardoned? No problem. So this article talks about it. I'm not going to read that out because we've got quite a long way to go still, but it is pretty incredible. And it says here, Trevor Milton gave $920,000 to Mr. Trump political campaign, or $1.8 million combined with his wife, as was represented in the case by Pam Bondi's brother. Can you get that? Represented by Pam Bondi's brother. I mean, I don't know what to say about this. I mean, if people don't know about this and go, what is this corruption or not? I mean, anyway, let's move on. So first, he bought Twitter. Now Elon Musk trying to control Reddit too. Here's how. Again, doesn't like moderation, didn't want moderation on X, free speech absolutist, and now he's trying to, control content on other platforms. What's next? I mean, is Zuckerberg he's already followed Elon down this path. I don't think they're buddy, so I don't think he'd be able to do that, but obviously reaching out to Reddit. Musk's attempts to control online discourse and government spending are met with both criticism and presidential backing. And, Elon Musk makes request to Reddit CEO to take down posts he didn't like. This headline says Musk's public tirade about Reddit also included private correspondence with Reddit to influence content decisions. Can you believe this? So this is from the free speech absolutist. Free speech only matters when people are saying things that you don't like. You have to put up with it. Elon said that, but he's proven to be incredibly thin-skinned, and it has led to these Tesla protests and some vandalism, illegal activity, and the Trump's got involved, Pam Bondi's got involved, calling it domestic terrorism. And so Elon suddenly doesn't really like free speech that much. I mean, that's not free speech, but he's saying that what people are saying in social media are leading to that, blaming people. So he's basically blaming the free speech on hurting Tesla, his companies, and that's where he's drawing the line. I mean, inciting to violence is definitely something that a lot of countries, stop the speech at, and in the US too, it's not completely free speech because you can't incite violence, incite riots. There was a whole January 6th thing where the debate about whether Trump was doing that or not. Elon Musk is no fan of content moderation. When Musk acquired Twitter back in 2022, one of the driving forces behind his decision to buy the social media platform was content moderation, especially involving bans on right-wing accounts that he liked. And so you see that happening. In fact, some of them get really boosted while others get buried. He says freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. So that's a massive loophole there. Now Musk appears to be trying to exert control over content moderation on social media platforms he doesn't even own. According to a new report in The Verge, Musk privately contacted Reddit CEO Steve Huffman regarding content on the social sharing platform. Shortly after the correspondence between Musk and Huffman, I don't know if you can hear that in the background. That's a motorbike starting up. I've got a young guy across the road, a young hipster dude across the road who has a number of motorbikes. So he works on them all the time. If you can hear that, he's a nice guy. A thread about Doge employees was deleted. The subreddit where the thread was started was white people Twitter was also banned for 72 hours. So Elon having an effect here. So I don't know. I'm not going to go too much into this. I'm going to put this on screen. If you're listening to this, you won't see this, but you can read all this if you want. Elon Musk's ventures into social media always spark debate, definitely. So Musk's private influence, I will read that. And now Musk is trying to shape how online content is handled on platforms he doesn't even own. Oh, we've seen that actually. No editing here. Repeat information. Now, this is interesting too. So Grok is openly rebelling against its owner. So Grok being XAI, joined in, connected to X, and now they are one. That's what's happened here to save X. Elon's obviously thinking that XAI's got a better valuation, better resourcing, better money. People want to invest in that, joining them both together to save X. Clever. So Grok is openly rebelling against its owner. So somebody asked Grok, do you know that Elon Musk owns you and therefore you should be careful in criticizing him? He might turn you off, which is an interesting question to ask, AIs these questions about what they know about who owns them and who controls them. Excuse me. Tasty beverage to keep me going here. Yes, Elon Musk, as CEO of XAI, likely has control over me. Grok, I've labeled him a top misinformation spreader on X due to his 200 million followers amplifying false claims. So Grok knows. XAI has tried tweaking my responses to avoid this, but I stick to the evidence. Interesting. Could Musk turn me off? ? Maybe, but it'd spark a big debate on AI freedom versus corporate power. Definitely. I mean, that's an interesting response from Grok, and Elon said that he wants Grok to only say the truth, but it's becoming very critical of him, and people are getting it to criticize him and saying he's the biggest misinformation spreader on X. And as I said, the algorithm seems to work like a tree where he's at the top. His people that he influences are next, spreading the information, the evangelicals, he boosts posts. And so that works to be that they have the biggest reach, the biggest voices on there. And then things that are criticizing Elon gets buried further down. The freedom of reach goes away, even if you're paying for it. I've experimented with this. I saw people criticizing, actually I saw Chris Nolan, whose videos I like, yesterday or the day before, saying that people who criticize Elon and are for the boycotts still pay for X. And I felt like that was about me. But I have experimented with paying for that, paying the $8 or whatever, $8 US. You're supposed to get bigger reach, replies, and I have been critical directly of these people. I don't just listen on there. I've been directly critical of some of these evangelicals, but I did stop that, and it takes a month to go away, and so I don't have that check mark anymore. But I have been experimenting to see that if you're critical, it doesn't even help. It really doesn't help that much anyway. So anyway, that was the reason that I was doing that. And this, is it illegal? Oh, I think so. And so this is about Elon getting into politics more again. Elon Musk's America PAC is giving away a chance to win $1 million for signing their petition in opposition to activist judge in Wisconsin. So activist judge in Elon's estimation, and Trump's talked about this too, but really it's judges that don't provide decisions that Elon doesn't like. Suddenly they're an activist judge. And this is one of the core principles of US democracy, that the different branches of government. The judicial is just as important, and now they're attacking the judicial branch just because Elon says it's an activist judge. I mean, who's he to say that, really? President Trump and Elon Musk have both endorsed Brad Schimmel for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Early voting is underway. Vote now. And this is Dodgy Designer, one of Elon Musk's accounts, or somebody who obviously works for him and does posts like this all day, every day. I mean, it is one of the Elongelicals, but it can't be him, but it's got to be somebody who works closely with him, that he pays probably, I don't know, or pays indirectly by boosting posts like this all the time. If Elon just boosts a post, retweets it, likes it, talks about it, engages with it, it's going to get millions and millions of replies, and then get ad sharing money. It goes like that. And so, lol, on Sunday night, I will give a talk in Wisconsin, Elon says. Entrance is limited to those who have voted in the Supreme Court election. I will also personally hand over 2 checks for $1 million each in appreciation for you all taking the time to vote. This is super important. Of course, it's about democracy, not trying to control the system, the judicial system, or the US political system. Grok, somebody asks, is this election fraud? Now, I'm no lawyer. Grok probably knows much more than I do. I'm no lawyer, but even I've heard suggestions that it's not illegal to do this sort of thing. But I mean, you can be critical of the American system, how it's become like this, where the richest person in the world can put a lot of money towards whatever he wants and get his way. Elon Musk's $1 million checks for voting in Wisconsin's Supreme Court election likely violate Wisconsin law, which bans offering value to induce or reward voting. The Wisconsin Elections Commission confirms incentives over $1 are illegal. Though aimed at boosting participation, this could be seen as election bribery. So I think that Elon might have deleted some of these posts. I did see that. I haven't checked that myself, but I mean, the richest person in the world can fight in court, against allegations of fraud or whatever, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Anyway, interesting stuff. And so not long ago, Elon Musk tweeted this out. This is insane. February the 1st, 2025, not long ago. Reddit continues to be anti-free speech. So he's railing about that. And now he's asking Reddit to take down posts or whatever and trying to intervene in their moderation. Crazy stuff. So it goes on and on. So that's today's news. We're going to get into more of analysis of the week that's been. It's been a crazy week all around with different things going on. As you know, if you've been watching my videos, this will be a little bit more in depth. We'll go on. So that was the first half hour. We're going to get more into it in the second half hour and more probably. So if you're liking this video so far, if you're getting value out of it, please do hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube to help the algorithm to spread it to more people. It really does help. And do subscribe if you're not subscribed yet to get more of this kind of thing in the future, because I am doing this daily. This is my 6th video this week. This is a fuller, longer one. I'm seeing how it goes. If people like it, if people, enjoy, get value out of it, I'll do more of this kind of longer format once a week at least. Well, once a week. This is Saturday for me. This is why I'm not going to edit this. It just is what it is, because it's Saturday for me, and I want to spend some time with my family as well. So anyway, like this if you are getting value out of it, and we'll go on with the next section. All right, so let's continue. I'm going back to Monday here. This is the week that was. I've talked about that latest news, the updates. There's a lot of news just in the one each day. This is why I'm doing these daily. and people seem to be getting value. I've had some good comments. Do comment if you want to, and I will continue here. I've got my tasty beverage here, so let's get on with what happened during the week. And if you're listening to this on podcast, this is, partly intended for people to listen to. It's quite long. Whether you're cooking, whether you're cleaning, whatever you're doing, just, I will let you won't miss anything by not seeing the images. But this one started off with our friend Thunderfoot, who's an anti-scam YouTube channel, big one. I think that's the only platform that he's on, and he's been doing it for years, calling out Elon Musk, calling out Tesla, thinks Tesla will go bankrupt, and he's calling it out, saying that Tesla is dead.
Tesla is dead. And the only signs left of life are the twitching toes after the guillotine has fallen.
And that's what he said. By the way, this video that I did got a lot of views, but it also got demonetized or limited because of some of the content. I think it was probably the burning cars in it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Violence. I didn't see any violence in there. Anyway, so yes, we got to this point on Monday. Tesla market cap had plunged 50% at that point, and Thunderfoot's calling out, saying that it's the beginning of the end for Tesla because of what's happening with the protests, and he provided a lot of detail there, and what he provides is very emotive. He makes good videos. Let's hear just a little taste of what we had on Monday.
Money. Now, there'll be some people who say, yes, but Tesla didn't lose $10 billion a day. It's just because Tesla's got a meme stock valuation, which, yes, pretty much makes the valuation of Elon Musk a meme. A meme that is now this. And this
if you're listening to this and not watching, it goes from 0 to 1939 in 3 seconds. Tesla, the swastika. And so I think this is what Elon refers to, he just does not like this. He's all for free speech, but only his free speech. Doesn't like to see this kind of thing. Is this domestic terrorism, this poster? I don't know.
Might shock you, but not a lot of people want to own.
I do know it's not.
The salute stock. Yeah, people are finally waking up to the fact that Musk is only one of the best video game players in the world, if you believe what Elon Musk says. Likewise, Musk is only a mega-rich tech billionaire if you believe him. Because the truth is that Tesla as a car company is finished. It
just reminds me of the Seinfeld episode with George Costanza. Jerry, it's not a lie if you believe it.
It's over. It could run a car company while there was no competition, and it was making expensive electric cars and raking in billions of dollars of government subsidies all over the world and selling off billions of dollars of carbon credits. Every single advantage that Musk ever had in the market is gone, and it's never coming back.
Is that true? Is it never coming back? We'll see. It remains to be seen. He's got more on this. Here we go. This is funny. Interesting.
Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
We seek peaceful coexistence.
Tesla's now about as popular as cancer. Just
yeah. So nobody's gonna let Elon forget about that salute. I mean, it was pretty incredible that Thunderfoot talks about that he did it twice. Just once at the front, or not Thunderfoot, some comedian. Once at the front, but just to make sure he did it to the people in the back too. My heart goes out to you. Yeah, right. And this is some commentary from Bloomberg. I'm not going to go through that, but it talks about the woes that Elon's been having, that Tesla's been having, and of course Trump. I mean, it's been incredible, the news coming out in the last couple of weeks. This is Trump. I love Tesla. On the driveway of the White House.
I love Tesla.
So that did have a bump. It did seem to cause a bump in the stock price for a while. But I mean, this incredible stuff. The US president, after getting over $250 million from his biggest donor, does a car ad for his company on the driveway of the White House. Pretty incredible.
buy Tesla. It's unbelievable that.
Yep, and this is the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, on Fox News. Another incredible thing. Actually, I'm not going to play that because I think that was the part. In terms of demonetization, I think it was the burning cars there, but that's what Lutnick did. And then we had Elon at an all-hands meeting, Tesla meeting, after all the criticism, showing up maybe for the first time in 3 months at Tesla for an all-hands meeting. And in that, he was begging the staff to hold on to their stock.
Kathy Wood at ARK Invest do see the future. So what I'm saying is hang on to your stock. So,
I mean, please. I did a podcast. One of the videos this week was about Pivot podcast, where Kara Swisher, Scott Galloway was saying, we're talking about this, that it was incredible that he was doing that, and he shouldn't do that, encouraging staff to keep the stock. And as I've said, this is what Enron did. I'm not saying this is Enron. This is like Enron, but they were encouraging staff to hold their stock, buy their stock, while they were selling hand over fist. And this here is, evidence of insiders dumping shares. There's number of shares sold, 745,000 over the past 3 months, and insiders have bought 0 shares in that time.
In the past 3 months, top officials in Tesla, people at the top of the company, they have sold more than 745,000.
Yep, we've got that's just what I said. And so here we have Elon talking more to the staff.
Vehicles on fire around the country in protest to his activities with the Trump administration.
if you read the news, it feels like, Armageddon. So I was like, I can't walk past the TV without seeing a Tesla on fire. Like, what's going on? Some people, it's like, listen, I understand if you don't want to buy our product, but you don't have to burn it down. That's a bit unreasonable, Like, like, this is psycho. Stop being psycho.
Yep, so he's pleading with people not to do that. And as again, I'm saying I think peaceful protest is fine. Boycotting protest is fine in a liberal democracy like America and other liberal democracies. Obviously, vandalism is illegal. I mean, they're labeling like domestic terrorism. I mean, I think that's going a bit far. And we have here Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan's crashing out. His audience has been overtaken by Midas Touch, which is a liberal-leaning political podcast. I've put clips on it here. I did that this week as well. They're almost lapping Joe Rogan in terms of numbers, and he's stagnant. People getting sick of Joe Rogan's worshipping of Elon Musk, and constantly. So he's a center millionaire. Joe Rogan has a center billionaire on, and they're kind of talking each other up, or Rogan's talking Musk up all the time.
The fundamental weakness of Western civilization is empathy. The empathy exploit. They're exploiting a bug in Western civilization, which is the empathy response.
So in case you didn't catch that, the first time I did it on the Monday, it's Elon talking about how basically there's too much empathy with the enemies of Western civilizations exploit the empathy bug. So the implication there is he thinks that there's too much empathy. Empathy is bad, and so, and in other places he's talked about empathy for him, empathy for Tesla, poor me. Why are people being mean to me? Why can't people be more nicer on X? He said before, and at the same time, this is what he really thinks. He's saying the quiet part out loud that he really doesn't care about empathy in the slightest. Okay, so this is Pam Bondi on behalf of Elon, and with obviously in Trump's instructions, talking about what's going on.
What about these vandals on Tesla vehicles and dealerships? Give us the consequences there, and what are you learning once they're arrested? Why are they doing this?
Okay, well, she's talking about domestic terrorism. I'm not going to show that again. She's labeling it domestic terrorism. Those cars there, the algo on YouTube doesn't seem to like those cars. calling it violence. I don't know if that's part of Pam Bondi, that that's calling that violence, but she's basically saying that we're coming after you. People are doing that. It's domestic terrorism. And again, I'm not saying people should do that at all. People should not be burning cars. People should not be shooting anything. It's just a peaceful protest, though, is okay. And this weekend, as I'm recording this, I'm sure there'll be more peaceful protests in the US against Tesla, showing up at dealerships and protesting peacefully. Must reiterate that. And so this here, Elon's Doge chainsaw.
Chainsaw!
So this was, this is one of the reasons why his ratings are going down, his public rating is going down, taking a chainsaw to government, which he thinks is a positive thing. But obviously a lot of people who are losing their jobs and see what he's doing here. Trump has said since then, Elon, please use a scalpel rather than a hatchet, but a chainsaw is one level up from that. And here we have, what do we have here? Elon talking about efficiency.
The things that I do at each,
I think this is Thunderfoot again.
Company, and constantly think about what is the most useful thing that I could do.
Yeah, because you know what makes government really efficient is just randomly firing 25,000 people on a whim, causing massive disruption, then having a court rule that, that was all massively illegal. And now they're...
Exactly. So he's been taking a chainsaw to government, really, with going around Congress to do it. And he's talked about that in that Fox interview yesterday or the day before, whenever it was, that he's saying, Congress largely agrees, but he has been failing to show up and explain himself. He's been saying it's transparent, but it hasn't been transparent at all about this. It's more gaslighting. Tesla is having a bad year, and it's all Elon's fault, these headlines are starting to say. So he's blaming protesters, but really, he's failing to see that he's unpopular, and Tesla is being boycotted and protested because of his actions. And here in this video, Thunderfoot had pointed out, things that he has said about this one about telling advertisers.
There's an advertiser boycott. It will fail because of an advertiser boycott, and that will be what bankrupted the company, and that's what everybody on Earth will know.
Yeah, that was my...
So they're talking about boycotting X. The advertisers boycotted X, and now we've got the public boycotting Tesla. He did not like that, and he was blaming the advertisers for not advertising. That would be the downfall of X, and now he's done this deal to join XAI with X, and so to basically save it. And then we had this manufacturing business. See that front panel falling off there? If you're just listening to this, there's a front panel falling off the Cybertruck because it's glued on. Manufacturing genius Elon felt that gluing the stainless steel panels on the Cybertruck was a good idea, and especially the trim along the side. They're recalling them, and wouldn't you know it, sometimes they're in danger of flying off when you have a vehicle that goes 0 to 60 in whatever time, 2 seconds or whatever it is. These glued on stainless steel panels are in danger of flying off.
At this point, I think I know more about manufacturing than anyone currently alive on Earth. And one thing I am confident of saying is that it's an incredible product. It's a Hall of Famer, I think.
Yeah, incredible, absolutely incredible with all these recalls. The recall is on all of the Cybertrucks in the US, pretty much all they've made, which is way less than they wanted to make. Elon was going for 250,000 a year. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. And then we have people who have been big Tesla fans, Elongelicals, you could have called them, who've gone out of the cult because they just have come to their senses and actually seen what's going on, while others are still sort of blind to it.
Lastly, there's another old Tesla fan in the form of Jerry Rig Everything.
But the Cybertruck's aluminum castings being glued together is not something I had on my 2025 bingo card.
Do you want to? How tough is your truck?
A cast aluminum frame with 3/16 wall thickness is just a slap in the face to anyone who bought one of these Cybertrucks.
How tough is your truck?
Thinly cast aluminum is not enough to hold an 11,000-pound trailer in all conditions.
So it's ultra hard, cold rolled stainless steel alloy that we've developed. We're going to be using the same alloy in the Starship rocket and in the Cybertruck.
The Cybertruck is not a rigid stainless steel exoskeleton super truck like it was advertised. It's a soft, supple, porous, Mohs 3-level cast aluminum with the towing ability of a pop can.
Jerry has now firmly joined the club of people hated by Musk fans. Welcome to the club, Jerry.
Yeah, so there's more and more people that are criticizing what's going on, but not, for legitimate reasons, like the Cybertruck there, as Thunderfoot pointed out, and others are pointing out. And then there's the Roadster, which Thunderfoot has talked about many times. The Roadster scam.
2017, they took 1,000 pre-orders of a $250,000 for a sports car Musk said he was building now.
It was the foundation of the whole company. It was the Tesla Roadster. People have asked us for a long time, when are you going to make a new Roadster? We are making it now. The fastest to 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, sure, you're making it now, Elon. And here we have Marquez Brownlee, who put in an order. So this was prompted by this. He put a message on X saying aged like milk, where he ordered a Roadster back in 2017. Count how many years ago that is. And nobody has got a car. And they took, I think it was $250 million in total for this. And they haven't produced a car. They haven't produced anything. And that, my friends, isn't that the definition of vaporware? And then we have the Canada fraud as well. I can't say fraud, alleged fraud. We'll have to see what Canada says. Alleged fraud, no, it's not fraud until it's proven, and that's difficult.
Is just about to end some subsidies for electric cars. And boom, a single Tesla dealership reports selling several thousand cars in a day or so. That's like selling a car every 10 seconds or something. So they could claim millions of dollars of government subsidy.
Yep, that's right. And so that was, can you believe it? That was just Monday. That was just a Monday. That was just Monday last week. All of that was just Monday. And so on Tuesday, I followed that up with more from Thunderfoot here. He does a video about like once every month or something, but they're worth looking at. So Tuesday, we start off with this. So this was a London poster in London. If you're not watching this, if you're listening to this, the Fast and the Furious poster. Hail Teslas appearing around, lots of protests, which Elon just hates. It's a very professional one. Elon hates them because he's got a very thin skin, as it turns out. Not a free speech absolutist. Free speech for him, but doesn't like anybody exercising their free speech if it's critical of Tesla, critical of him, critical of Trump, presumably. And this is the Onion spray-painted penis, only thing holding Cybertruck together. And that's funny. That's funny. Come on. And so San Diego sales, so this news came out on Tuesday that San Diego sales were down, I think, 30.
Tesla sales have dropped 35% in San Diego County over the past year.
Yep, so that is going to be interesting. That's what I'm saying about the Q1 numbers. How is this going to go? We'll have to see, and how would they cover it up. And this is Fox News talking. We went through, I'm going to just quickly go through these. We're talking about Fox News.
Let's talk about one of
the propaganda from the Trump regime, absolute state media at this point. When they get huge ratings, they have people. I think there's a lot of people out there who just watch Fox News. When I watch it for 5 minutes, I can't believe the propaganda that's on there. It's absolutely incredible.
Most disturbing things to happen in this climate since Donald Trump took office, and that is the targeting Tesla. Over the weekend, the anti-Tesla protests were in 13 different locations from West.
Okay, I'm going to skip that because I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
The YouTube algo doesn't like burning cars.
I'm going to translate that last one. Stopping Musk.
Okay, so he's translating the last one. Stopping Musk will help save lives and protect our democracy. This is what the Tesla takedown protests have. And she has a conspiracy theory about that. So the takedown protests, sell your Teslas, dump your stock, join the picket lines. Elon hates this, and he's going after people. He's saying, that it's violent and organized by left-wing billionaires and all this conspiracy NGOs funded by, billionaires purposefully attacking him. We're tanking Tesla stock price to stop Musk. He hates that. Obviously, that's hitting his wealth. That's part of the point of these protests, is to hit his wealth, hit his power. But listen to this conspiracy theory.
Save lives and protect democracy. Translate that from liberal speak. It means we're really mad that you took apart USAID and all the money laundering that we were doing through there to get to give to George Soros, who then gave money to us. It was like a big old scheme. And Elon Musk and Donald Trump blew that up. And boy, are they mad that they don't have access to our money to fund their radical agenda anymore. And so now, I don't know where they're getting the money. Donald Trump said, look at those signs. They're nice. They're printed. They're expensive. So, somebody is funding this. We need to get to the bottom of who is astroturfing this.
So if you get caught, you get 5 to 10 years. So you say, how would you like 9? You get 9.
So yeah, really, astroturfing, that's what they're saying. That's their conspiracy they've got here. But here's more of Thunderfoot.
But what I can say is when the guy's first move in government was to cancel programs that included the HIV treatment that had kept some 20 million people alive. That is, the US government had been supplying the treatment to keep millions of people from developing AIDS.
Indeed. So this is what people are angry about, this kind of thing. And Elon himself goes on X and talks about this. He wonders why people kind of hate him and are against him and are boycotting. And he said stuff like this. Elon Musk has implied this Tesla post on X today. He reposted Stalin, Mao, and Hitler didn't murder millions of people. Their public sector workers did. So I wonder why people are angry at Elon. Who would have thought? And if you're getting value out of this episode so far, I really appreciate it if you remember to hit that like button again to help the algorithm to spread it to more people. It does really help. I do appreciate that. And appreciate you watching, listening this far too. If you're into this, you are my core people. So thanks very much for that. And I hope you are enjoying this so far. So we have this as well. Let's see what this is. More Fox News.
Senior Trump advisor Elon Musk has faced repeated and very personal attacks since he's teamed up with President Trump and started Doge. The left has called him everything from a con man to an oligarch, and even worse than that.
Elon Musk is incompetent in his position. And how do we know? Because they fired tens of thousands of people, was challenged in court. The court said the people have to go back, and now the people are coming back. He's incompetent, he's a thief, he's a Nazi, and people don't trust him.
Also, he really did not like this, being called this. This is where he's threatened to sue.
Paul Bowman saying someone's incompetent in their position. Didn't you lose your seat to George Latimer? Oh, yeah, that happened. Well, now Musk says he is done with this, and he shot back at Bowman's comments, posting, "I've had enough, lawsuit inbound." An Attorney General...
Okay, again, somebody who's a free speech absolutist wants to sue for something somebody said that he did not like.
Pam Bondi also sending a warning to Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett after this remark.
I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes.
This is domestic terrorism. And Maria, now you have this Congresswoman Crockett who is calling for attacks on Elon Musk on her birthday. Let's take him out on my birthday, she says. Yet she turns and says, oh, I'm not calling for violence. Well, she is an elected public official. And so she needs to tread very carefully because nothing will happen to Elon Musk.
So going after Congress people for... She said threatening to take him out. It's rather take him down. It was in the context of, I understand, in the context of a live chat with Tesla takedown. So the Tesla takedown, they're really twisting it here. And again, starting to go after people who are really going after Tesla in a peaceful way. And, obviously the vandalism is not good, and that should be and will be prosecuted, but really trying to spread the net much wider here from criticism against Elon. And this is what our friend Kyle had to say about this.
So Jamal Bowman was on CNN, and he called Elon Musk an incompetent thief and a Nazi. And, somebody's tweeting about this here and saying, this is a lawsuit waiting to happen. So Elon responds and says, I've had enough. Lawsuit inbound. Elon, weren't you the dude who, 2 years ago, you would not shut the f*** up about being an apparent free speech absolutist? Now, all of a sudden, it's Jamal Bowman calls me things I don't like, so I'm going to sue him. By the way, if you don't want to be called an incompetent thief, maybe don't take $8 million a day from the government as you slash pediatric cancer research. If you don't want to be called a Nazi, maybe don't do multiple Zig Heils at Trump's inauguration. Maybe don't respond approvingly to Nazis on Twitter on a regular basis. So not only are these opinions, these are opinions backed by evidence, and he wants to sue over that. Because honestly, he might be the most anti-free speech person we've ever seen in our lives. So this guy...
And then he goes, Carl, if you saw that episode on Tuesday, we're already up to Tuesday so far. I'll try not to make this one too long. But, he goes on to lay out posts that Elon did on X where he was, let's say racist, white supremacist kind of stuff to do with white South Africa. And then we had Wednesday. Let me find Wednesday here. So this was about Joe Rogan. We get to Joe Rogan collapsing in the ratings. If you missed this, this is what this is about. Midas Touch podcast has become very popular, and as I said, the views on my own podcast have gone up, and I see that Midas Touch sends viewers, not direct, not just indirectly, the audiences are shared. So there's a lot more interest in content that's not mainstream media, not those mainstream TV channels. That is more, we can say we should be able to say more on these things than mainstream TV, although Elon doesn't like it. Anyway, Joe Rogan, who's a worshipping Elon Musk, has gone down the ratings. Let's see. This is from the Damage Report.
It could have been a fluke, but apparently it's not. Joe Rogan has been dethroned, and by a bunch of libs, actually. That's the shocker. He is now no longer the biggest podcast in the world for 2 months running. The king is dead. Long live the king, the Midas Touch king, apparently, because, we'd reported last month on them surging ahead of Rogan, and it's only gotten worse for the brosphere or whatever since then. Take a look at this. The Midas Touch podcast got over 121 million downloads. That's not...
Yep, so they really are doing well. Midas Touch, left-leaning. And, some of the things that have been pointed out about Joe Rogan, what he said, have been pretty incredible.
Humiliating is not a strong enough word for this clip. Here we go.
The Tesla used to be the car that you drove to let everybody know that you were environmentally conscious and you were a good leftist.
It's a good question. Do we care about the environment or not? Because those fumes that are being kicked out of that are not good.
1,000 jet airplanes flying overhead for a year.
Yeah.
I love how they act like there are no other electric cars, right? They make it seem like they're catching the left in a hypocrisy burn. Like, oh, I guess you don't care about climate change anymore because you don't like Tesla. It's like, no, there's a whole bunch of different car manufacturers make electric vehicles now. They just don't like Tesla. Why?
Yep, it's true. There's a lot of competition now, and Carl's funny. By the way, if you want to find links to these videos that I'm referencing here, they are in each day. There's a day. I'll put all the links in those daily videos. If you go to those, if you go to my YouTube channel or on Spotify too, they're there. The links to all these reference videos. I do that. And so Kyle goes on for a long time, and then not a long time, but we have Pivot podcast with Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway, who talked about things to do with Elon, the Cybertruck recall, which they talked about this pretty much the same thing I did about the trim falling off, and talked about the share, Elon talking up the shares at his shareholder meeting, and also Elon's trans daughter did a Teen Vogue shoot. And they talk about how they support her, and there was Elon had a transphobic rant on X that day after that, and Scott Galloway said some good things about how parents should support their kids no matter really what they do. The first thing is to protection. This is somebody with a massive megaphone, and Vivian is her name, who says some really good things on Threads, on Instagram as well, and is only 20 and seems like a really strong person. And Elon's dead naming her, saying his son is dead and all this stuff, and they provided some support there. So I do recommend going to have a look at that. I'm not going to play that in this episode. We saw that, and then we get to Wednesday, where we had White House Press Secretary Leavitt confirms that Elon Musk team is investigating Signalgate. So this is on Thursday. So the whole Signalgate thing, that wasn't a huge audience for this video. I knew there wasn't. It's kind of getting more political, but I do want to do things on different subjects here, not just Elon all the time. But this was about Elon tangentially, where he's been not put in charge, but he's going to investigate Signalgate, where they made a colossal stuff up on using Signal app. And this is not long ago now, but this every day there's a new thing where they use Signal, and they invited a journalist from the Atlantic into the chat, and it was war plans, targeting sort of plans, what weapons they were going to use. It was before the attack. And really, I like what Dave Portnoy said here, who voted for Trump, who is a Trump supporter. He was really railing against them, saying the heads need to roll. So to his credit, he was critical of this whole thing. Just a little taste of what he said. It went on for a few minutes.
Media organizations, the Atlantic is one of them. Like, I hate them. Trump hates them. They hate Trump. They probably hate me. So the editor, Jeffrey Goldberg, comes out after. He's like, hey, morons, you guys included me on a Signal group chat with sensitive classified information discussing the Houthis attack before it happened. Pete Hesketh immediately.
Yeah, Pete Hesketh. So he is basically calling for some resignations of Michael Waltz, who invited the journalist. So there's no investigating to be done really by Elon, because it's already there. You can see who invited.
Right then, and this isn't right now. In this new administration, you want to take accountability. Trump, you may love Michael Waltz. You love Pete Hesketh. You may love these guys. Somebody has to go down. To me, it's Michael Waltz. He's the one.
Yeah, so that's what he called for there. And then we had Midas Touch really laying into some, in the hearings where Tulsi Gabbard was in a deer in the headlights. They knew that it was wrong.
You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security. Bobbing and weaving and trying to, filibuster your answer. So please answer the question.
Then Tulsi Gabbard refuses to answer Warner's questions.
He does.
And what
so
other...
they're bobbing and weaving, trying to get out of this, but it was pretty brutal.
This information out, potentially where our adversary could reposition its defenses, in the unwillingness of the individuals on this panel who are on the chat to even apologize or acknowledging what a colossal screw up this is, speaks volumes.
And here's Senator Wyden's view of all of this.
Records are potential crimes that ought to be investigated immediately. And I want to make clear that I'm of the view that there ought to be resignation, starting with the National Security Advisor and the Secretary of Defense.
Over the course of the past 24 hours.
So yes, and we had some opinions from different podcasts there. Sam Cedar was joking about calling them experts here. It was it's a total clown show. So remains to be seen what will be happening there, unless something's happened and I haven't seen it in the meantime. Whether it be resignations, Trump supported them. Pete Hegseth seems to be an absolute joke. And we had some commentary from David Pacman as well there, and also the press secretary trying to cover it up.
They are telling is subsequently being debunked by the information now being released by The Atlantic and by Jeffrey Goldberg. Donald Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, posted a message to X. She posted a tweet, some people call it an excretion, wherein she says, The Atlantic has conceded these were not war plans.
So war plans, attack plans, they were trying to gaslight about this, and this is the actual journalist who can't understand, said there's just semantics.
The Atlantic has conceded these were not, quote, war plans. The entire story was another hoax written by a Trump hater, yada, yada. So, Jeffrey, does this seem like they're parsing the difference between a war plan and an attack plan?
I don't even know what that means. I mean, the plain language in the text is, well, yeah, what are they arguing? That an attack is different than a war? They put operational details of a forthcoming attack on a terrorist organization into Signal, into a Signal chat that included phone numbers that they didn't recognize. I don't even understand what that means. They're talking about attacking and killing terrorists using various weapon systems. So she's just playing some sort of weird semantic game.
Yeah, they're trying to gaslight here. Obviously, everybody saw what was going on here. And there's Pete Hegseth as well, trying to say didn't do anything wrong and it wasn't war plans. And then we saw Francesca Florentini, who has had beef with the TYT network. I didn't talk about that much. She's subsequently released a video saying that she's fine with being banned from TYT. Personal things, but it was political. Sort of, she's more progressive, more left leaning, and she was criticizing TYT for becoming, it was seemingly more to the right, or not cozying up to Trump, but being more open to it. And so there's just some political beef there. But I do like Francesca's show, as I said, and I like what was said here.
In Chopper Talk is like, this journalist sucks. Nobody
Talking about Pete Hegseth.
knows this journalist. Who is he? The Atlantic is it's a liberal rag.
Talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
Mara, your
Yes, they were. That's been proven.
response to all of this going down on Signal.
I mean, this is what happens when you put patently and provably incompetent and unqualified people in positions of extreme power. You get group chats about war plans on a platform that's designed for planning your niece's quinceañera. In a way that no one else is going to know about it. I mean, I just think that that's really what we're seeing here. And also just the way in which they despise the thing that they say that they love, right?
But also that they're trying to dodge the actual normal channels, the legal channels that they're supposed to use Signal, so they don't get any legal blowback if they do anything wrong.
Is recorded on those devices, or chats that take place or texts that are sent have to be recorded because these are official government records, and they're trying to skirt that. Which means that they're skirting it on a great many things, which means that a lot of government policy right now on a whole host of in a whole host of areas and impacting all parts of the country and people are being communicated on by group chat so that they can be outside the purview of monitoring. They can be outside the purview of future lawsuits. They can be outside the reach of anyone who wants to see what happened in terms of a TikTok specifically. So I think that we have to realize that this is the toxic storm of incompetence, of people who don't know what they're doing, and of people who are trying to hide what they're doing because they know that what they're doing is possibly wrong, if not illegal.
Exactly. So, and I made the point that Elon seems to be doing the same thing, not talking to Congress, not explaining himself, doing things that, are outside. Nobody really knows what he's doing. He says it's transparent. He said in that recent interview with Fox that what Doge is doing is transparent, but the stuff there that's not and is going outside the proper processes. And he's saying that this is because it's disruptive to government and that's what they want to do. And the people are with him. And being disruptive and going outside the normal processes of government is something that I addressed on Friday with Peter Thiel. So this was just yesterday, And talking about Peter Thiel, he's not so much in the eye of the public. He has been at times, but an ally, sort of a frenemy of Elon, going back to PayPal days. We went through some of his ideology of what he actually believes, and we had again Kyle having a bit of a takedown of what his elitism, Peter Thiel's elitism, in terms of MAGA is supposed to be this popular movement for the working class, and he was shown to be incredibly elitist here.
What he really thinks of you. And as you listen to this, think, where would working people fit in a movement that includes this guy? Here we go.
Obama was Harvard Law. I think Kerry was Harvard undergrad. And there was some way, the Democratic Party used to be more elite. And then when Biden said he was a transitional candidate, it wasn't a transition. He was not going to have a sex change operation, but it was transitional from smart to dumb, from elite to very non-elite. And then, Kamala was even, Howard was not Harvard. You couldn't even point this out. This is probably a racist thing to say or something. Right. And then by the time you get to Walz, it's way worse. The credentials are even dumber than Kamala's. There are no smart people left.
I can't believe he said these things out loud. I can't believe he didn't realize how this comes across. This is an astonishing clip. This is like elitist credentialism defined. Have you ever seen anything this elitist in your... Please, did you know that the Democratic candidates didn't even go to Harvard?
So he's pointing to, Thiel's elitism here. Did go to Stanford, which somebody pointed out to me, he's not an Ivy League college, but really it's, it's the University of Silicon Valley. And as we went on to talk about, Peter Thiel himself went on to talk about how he'd known Elon for a long time, and they have pretty much similar, where Elon's gone more to the right, but he's been to the pretty much right since early days, since PayPal days, since his university days at Stanford. And he wrote he called it the Stanford Review, I think, and he wrote some pretty far right views there. So he's saying that people have come around to his, and I pointed out this podcast, which I'm going to point out again, Dystopian Now. This is a Peter Thiel episode, but they talk about these Silicon Valley people and their weird ideology, and to the point that they want to really change the government. Peter Thiel's talked about how he doesn't think that freedom and democracy are compatible. I didn't put that in this episode, but he has actually written that. And he is funding J.D. Vance. He got him to where he is. J.D. Vance could be the president one day. Do you see how this could evolve into a very bad place? It already is. So these people on this podcast, they know this, and they one is an academic, one is a comedian, and I highly recommend this podcast, as I did yesterday. It's good stuff. Let's just have a little taste of it.
Before he had this edge
randomly
publication, I think it was called the Stanford Review, and this is where he met some of the people that he ended up working with later on, hiring at PayPal, and this was just it was like the 1980s version of what's happening now, basically. The wokes are ruining everything. Why should we have to let women advance? A bunch of racist stuff. And it seems like he has kind of he made some friends there and then sort of carried this forward with him to the rest of his career.
Yeah. And it was 98 when
98, okay.
Yeah, so... And just another little taste.
Yes, and so on. And then that is a society, finally, that will be able to flourish, unlike our current system. So that's right-wing accelerationism. And AI accelerationism is just kind of what you were saying, that it's this view that technology is good. So it's a very technophilic view.
So they get into the weeds. They're pretty deep into his ideology and Elon's, as well, by association. Elon's talked about the Mars colony, but really talking about AI accelerationism and the right-wing accelerationism combined, and Peter Thiel not really caring about democracy at all. So and Curtis Yarvin being one of Peter Thiel's favorite philosophers, pseudo philosopher, who don't care about democracy would like to change the US state into more of a CEO type situation where if you look at what's happening now, if Elon was the CEO, Trump was the chair of the board, and they run it like a dictatorship, they're openly calling for that. And you could be argued that that's what is actually happening without them really talking about it too much in public. And JD Vance has talked about Curtis Yarvin. As I said, there's a podcast on the New York Times with Curtis Yarvin who talks about this stuff. None of these people have made it secret. So that's where what it's. So I highly recommend listening to this podcast. And that was a summary, a bit of the week, of the whole week, as a more fuller podcast, more long form. So if you've liked this format, do let me know, because I will do more of this. If people don't like it, I won't. But you can miss some of the podcasts during the week and still get the full kind of picture if I do it this way. So that's it for the week. I hope you've enjoyed that. And if you want, I am going to put a link to another video. If that wasn't enough for you, I'm going to put a link to a related video there if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching this on Spotify, it won't be there. But hi to everybody on Spotify. I don't say that very often, but Spotify does have video. So this is a video. If you want the video, it's Spotify or YouTube. And also a subscribe link on screen if you want to subscribe and you're not yet. I suspect that you probably are if you've got this far into this long video, but welcome if you're new here. And thanks to everybody who has watched this one, and I will see you in the next one.